You ever wake up at night, all fucking bugging, knowing something ain't right? I almost got it, but I can't quite put my finger on it. Me and Mother Gaia just bracing for the comet to hit, and God's pacing, looking upon his abomination. An honest conversation with Satan. No judgment, no condemnation. It's meditation, quiet contemplation. It's that kind of contagion. Better hurry up, time's a wasting. The universe ain't waiting on your procrastinating. It's fascinating. Everybody gasping from the chase and the massive aggravation, but Shyste got that light activation. It's the vibe, the outcome from when an old soul and an inner child collide. I cried these tears of gratitude, a brand new attitude. I'm not a bad dude, but see me after I've had a few. It's Jekyll and Hyde, professional disguise, getting leveled as I wrestle with the devil inside. You acting hard rock, but you a pebble in size, trying to hide from your inevitable demise. I see the dark clouds start settling in the skies. Go time, you can see the adrenaline in my eyes. Got a motherfucker Pennywise, stalker, the type of guy celebrities don't want to talk to. Fuck them anyway, I ignore what all the lemmings say. I'll bust that ass anywhere, any day. The mental ill and divine, but still a simple design. Your life is just a little wrinkle in time. Your life is just a little wrinkle in time. Your life is just a little wrinkle in time. They say your life is just a little wrinkle in time. Your life is just a little wrinkle in time. Hold up, wait a minute. Someone just got clipped by a black Honda Civic. God give it to take it away, you never know. If there's poison in the ground, the seed will never grow. No need to sell my soul, it's free for the world to see. Every shining moment, every insecurity. I'm even genuine when I sin is dirty. The polarity is purity, the curse is accuracy. Trauma get the best MC, karma get the worst MC. Everybody getting shit on universally. I got no qualms about dropping them bombs. The whole cult threw up their arms like I'm God with the Psalms. Your life is just a little wrinkle in time. Your life is just a little wrinkle in time. They say your life is just a little wrinkle in time. Your life is just a little wrinkle in time. Your life is just a little wrinkle in time. Your life is just a little wrinkle in time. They say your life is just a little wrinkle in time. Your life is just a little wrinkle in time. Your life is just a little wrinkle in time. Your life is just a little wrinkle in time. Your life is just a little wrinkle in time. Your life is just a little wrinkle in time. Yo.
All right, we're here in Capital Land. This is Ralph Renna, and first time trying to put some music in there. I guess when it comes to local hip hop, I guess tonight is going to be an invitation to whoever's out there making music, whoever is making beats, whoever's rhyming, whoever's performing shows. I believe just like hardcore and metal, hip hop has always been the underdog in the music scene. It's very hard for them to get booked, but when they do, they create something. And I believe that if they stay true to what they do and they give honest opinions of themselves and they're not afraid just to be themselves through their music. And what I especially like is, I just turned 52 years old. So that's kind of old. It's kind of old. And I come from a generation where, I don't know, there was just things like this. Okay. I don't know how many people had this in their household. Has anyone else had this in their household? So just take a look at it real quick. Okay. Take a look at it real quick before I bring in my guests. And I think if you're watching now, you know that Shyste and PJ Katz are here with me. Guys, can you hear me okay? They can.
Yeah.
They can. They can hear me okay. All right, so just take a look at this. Guys, do you remember seeing a record player like this at all in any time in your lifetime?
Absolutely.
Now, maybe eventually it moved on to something, something like this, maybe.
Yeah.
Right.
You left out the phone crap with the horn.
Right. So one day, I'm a kid of the 70s and 80s, and Shyste, you were born in the 70s too, 77 to be exact, right?
77, yes.
How about you, Mr. Katz? You going to dig up your age too? Were you a 70s kid, child too, as well?
75.
75. So 70 me, 75 you, 77. Showing our age. I'm getting to a point here. I want to talk about privilege, and I'm not talking about the privilege everybody thinks of. I'm talking about the new age of technology. Okay, so when I was younger, I was fascinated with radio, and that's how I got into it all. Okay, and I'm making a point here because I want to see if you guys actually have used. So we've all had something similar to this. You know, you go out, you go down and hang out with your friends. You pop in your favorite tape and boom, that's what I got. Right. Absolutely. All right. But then 2 days later, some dude shows up and he's just going to have to just show me how big his dick is. And he's got the dual cassette with the equalizer. So what I'm saying is when I was introduced to hip hop, it was at WVCR and they were using techniques. Now this is like a newer techniques, I guess. And I was the rock guy and I would either follow sometimes coming on at 9 p.m. or I would follow at 6 a.m. tonight to come on at 9 a.m. and I would follow Slam and Shan. So I guess this is where I'm digging way back to my history, and we just lost Slam and Shan. So RIP, and this entire show goes out to Slam and Shan, and we'll dig into more local hip hop DJs as well. Shyste, let's start with you, and we'll go back to our technology lessons in a little bit. 1977. Start. Go for it. It's on you.
I said the year born God, but it's good. No, where do you want me to go with that? 77.
I want you to just give me your first, when did you know musically, when you started, as far as you knew that you were going to be doing this someday and putting out many records, working with multiple talented musicians from all over the universe.
I didn't get into it. So background would be that my family actually has always been very musical, playing instruments and singing and stuff like that. I wasn't into it very early on though. But by the time I hit high school, I was having like issues and shit. And writing, doing hip hop and writing like helped out with that a lot. So I started to get into that. That was like when I was like 16-ish, I think. And so
were you actually recording at that point, or just kind of knowing?
No, I wasn't recording at that point. That's when I got started.
Right.
That's when I met our friend here, PJ Katz. I think I was around 16. I think I was like 16, right? Yeah. 16,
yeah.
And,
what was your first impression of Shyste when you met him, PJ?
Oh, he's a piece of shit.
Come on, we're going to get down. We're all old friends, so we could talk this way. If you have any questions, put them in the chat.
Well, yeah. I think one of the things that I noticed right away is because, when I grew up playing instruments and listening to everything from Steely Dan to Herbie to Earth, Wind and Fire and Yes and all these other bands. But the one thing that stood out the most is the tone of his voice, right? It was just like he went home and he just screamed until about midnight, and it was raspy.
Right, you're right.
That, yeah, well, probably right. But so that's one of the things. Even before I heard him rhyme, it was just the voice. It would cut through, and you look at other rappers when we were growing up, like Rakim, and it was all about the voice, So yeah,
each rapper had their own identity. When you heard Public Enemy, you knew it was Chuck D. When you heard Run DMC, you knew who it was. Beastie Boys, same thing. Eminem, so on and so forth. Everybody had their own character. So you saw a character in him, not just, and you were just joking when you said that, he was an asshole, right? Because you were just kidding, right?
No.
All right. Because
I wasn't joking about that.
Okay, well, now I'm going to have to stop because Shyste had something very nice to say about you. A few months back when Persona non grata was released, in the story, when he did describe meeting you, his words were, and if you look down the bottom of the screen, just look down the bottom of the screen right there. Okay, it's going to change. Wow. See that?
And that's
the godfather of hip hop producers in 518.
Right.
And he stands by that. So now you have to say something really nice about Shyste besides his nice voice.
Yeah, well, I apologize, man. I was only kidding about you being in that. No. Yeah, I mean, besides the voice, as soon as I heard him rhyme, I mean, it pretty much self-evident at that point. Um, and it was the wordplay, it was topics, it was a lot of people at that time. There were scratching in choruses and all this, and we did that too. But he was always coming off the head with like these really creative hooks, which makes a 16 bar verse an actual complete song. And that's why the dude has like 30 albums in 1 year. It's like
Yes.
the output just crazy.
So that I guess we'll bounce back to Shyste. How many records have you put out over the past? Because I know I've been doing this 30 something years. I've been getting down with your music and what you guys do for over 20 years, right? You guys got 20 years plus in this, right?
Yeah.
More,
Oh, yeah.
you know what I mean? So there's some history here, not only individually, PJ as a producer and Shyste as a lyricist, rhymer. What would you consider yourself? A truth speaker, so to sorts, is not afraid to just spit it and just do it.
Oh, me?
Yeah, you.
Yeah, I guess so. But I just do me, man.
And you knew he had something, PJ, back then. So was it his? I don't want to say nasty, but was his delivery the same? And was his not, no frills? You were never afraid to say anything. I've never heard a rap song where I didn't feel a little bit offended for fucking someone else. Not me. Not me. Not
It's
me.
working.
Right. The sarcasm, the comedy. So again, back to your childhood, like you said in the story, we did a story with you for nippertown.com when the CD Persona Non Grata dropped. You said it, your name's Richard Allen, and you heard plenty of dick jokes growing up. So was it comedy that maybe too helps adapt and help mold your style for what you do today?
I think that's something that naturally kind of came out, just being a smart ass, I guess. And I got to be honest, like listening to hip hop when I started, like in the early 80s, the braggadocious kind of rhyme and stuff, it was witty as well. It just wasn't like I got a bunch of money or I got a bunch of cars. Like they're being very witty about how much better they were than the next guy or whatever.
Right. Right.
So I think sarcasm comes with wit. And I think if you're good at both of those things, you're a fucking genius.
Right.
Regardless if you're rapping or whatever you're writing, you're a fucking genius. Master those two things.
If you could call someone a hoe and ask her to marry you in the same time, and that girl's in the front row digging your fucking music, right on, man. So it's tongue in cheek. It's like, is someone going to get now? I love it. I know a lot of people love it. Everyone that has heard it. In fact, this guy Mike Stampalia that I know is like, Shyste, I love this Shyste. I love this Shyste. He's a big contributor to Nippertown, and he digs it. So we turned you on to some new people. But what is the negative side of all that? You have any funny stories to maybe where maybe that night didn't go too well because you were on stage, maybe sipping back a little too much piss and whiskey and whatever, and
I've had a few nights.
Yeah.
Few bad nights. They're all self-inflicted, though.
Right. They're self-inflicted. Okay.
Like you just say, maybe getting a little too pissy.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, put that on the back burner. But if you got one, you want, and I want some interesting stories. We'll just keep those in the back of the brain. Yeah. My next question is kind of for both you guys. So you liked what he did, PJ. Shyste, did you hear some of what he did? As far as being a producer and laying down tracks and hooks, and then you just kind of say, I got something to record, hit record, give me a microphone. Or PJ, did you kind of start adapting to his style and you would write music and go, this is perfect for Shyste. I'm going to throw this over to him. I want to see if he wants to get down with it. What's your collaboration process?
You can hit it first if you want.
Well, I mean, back in the day, I think it was more like we were listening to the same type of music. We were into the same sort of things, and then it just became a natural progression into music and whatever else we were into at that time. So, it wasn't a lot of catering because I was doing what I do. It just happened to be a good fit for his voice, the tempo of tracks that he liked. You know, and I was learning too. I mean, I'm going through a progress of DJing and then producing, you know, renting a machine for $35 on a weekend. And I had this little shitty 4-track, and he would come over and we would spend as many hours as we could to do whatever we want, you know. And that, you know, and today, even though we still work, we're still stretching each other's skill set out in a way that, you know, last week, you know, I may feel like I'm in this cage, and he'll come over and we crack a few jokes and talk about being a freedom loving maximalist, and the next thing you know, we've got a concept for a song, and we're always trying new things. And I think that's one of the things that I love working together, is that we are always trying new things. Like it's always against the grain, but while maintaining those hard drums and things that made us love the music in general.
That's a good answer, Shyste. What you got for that? I mean,
I concur. I concur completely.
You concur. So, you know, you guys share the same thoughts, the same beliefs. You feel the same beats. You're on a wavelength together. We all smoke weed, right? I mean, we all dabble. I smoke a little bit of weed, but yeah. I found that smoking weed definitely helps me get into a zone playing. Of course, it could be too intoxicating sometimes, but for the creative, for creativeness, I definitely like to smoke weed. Does that help?
Especially today. Listen, man, the problem with this today, and especially in my setup where I have half analog gear and half digital gear, and you try and you know, you're indulging a little bit too much, I'll have a brain fart and be like, I have no idea what to do with it. I feel like I'm at NASA at sometimes, right? So usually when he comes over and we're doing whatever, I like to like draw it back, and I go hit the drum kit and break out the organ, because those are all things that I'm taking technology off the table. And like you said, we can sort of stay in flow and maintain on this music level, rather than what a lot of people do today is just open up a laptop and drag and drop loops.
Right. So let's stop you there. That's another thing. You're playing drums, you're playing keys, you I'm sure you pick everything. Up a guitar. You pick up a guitar and a bass. So you're not just taking samples and slapping together. You're like actually a one-man fucking band who's putting samples, it down, right? And then throwing whatever digitally you can into that mix, samples and whatnot. Oh man, that's good. Go ahead, Shyste. You want to say something?
No, I'm just saying he makes samples, man. Like he can sit down and put down chords that somebody might get, or it might sound similar to something off of 45. You know what I mean? Like just the griminess and the dirtiness sounding of it, but it could be organs, piano, like whatever. Like he makes shit off the top of his head that any other producer that samples would be so psyched to catch that shit in the record shop. Be like, yo, this is a fucking gem. You know what I mean? Like he can play that shit off the top of his head. Completely original. And I think that speaks for itself on its own, right? Like, I don't know, man. There's a difference between producers and beat makers, I think. You know, he's a producer, this guy.
I'm also an incredible dancer. A lot of people don't know that about me, but that's for another podcast, I guess.
He did that when we lived in South Beach. But that's
I don't fucking dance. I want to see you dance, dude. I don't fucking dance. But
I did too, though.
This headbanging goes with any kind of genre of music. If it's got a good groove, man, and I think we're you both and I connected most was in the early 2000s when pitch control music was really starting to just blow the fuck up, man. And it was a new time for me, you know, being in a hardcore band. And that's where we were taking the hip hop and the hardcore, which has been done years before us with Judgment Night and so on and so forth. But locally, for what we all did, I was like, okay, this does work. We can always have a hip hop guy open up a hardcore and metal show. We can always try to do things. So I guess I want to dive into that area. The pitch control days and there's so many people to talk about, and it seems like everybody's just kind of off on their own. But I fucking know that everyone is still pitch control in their hearts, right? It's just kind of everybody's just doing their own thing. But I still see you supporting, the new guys and your old friends like JB or Sev or whoever it may be, So what do you think it's more of a disconnection now, or just, I put it like this: we're all older now. We have families, we have jobs. We're in our 40s and 50s, and it's people lose touch. But let's just touch down for everyone out there, and I don't care which one of you start on this because I'm going to go away. Talk about the pitch control days and what was going down in those days, and Lark Tavern and Hudson Duster and Positively 4th Street, I believe. And there was so many.
Yeah, you go ahead.
Me? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I do remember when I came back from Miami, you had already come back, and you actually set me up to talk to, Pitch Control Music, Sav. We had, I think the Metroland did a photo shoot. Do you remember that?
We're all on the cover. Ralph was there too.
Yeah. I think
Mike.
Lenny was on it. Yeah. And
Rest in peace, Sween.
Rest in peace, Swing. Absolutely. That's my first, from my point of view, that was my first interaction with Pitch Control Music. So like when I was down in Florida, like they had their own little movement going on. So we can go through all the names, Sev, JB, Dez, Sween, Rick Whispers, all the DJs, so there was a ton of people. I actually feel like I came into it late in the game.
Yeah, hold on just a second. I wanted to just step in. You said RIP to Sween, and that was just a recent loss that, I know I threw an early story about Slam and Shan. So Sween's on my list here too, man. I'm glad you brought that up because we've all lost a lot of good friends in both the hip hop and the hardcore scene. Go ahead and continue. RIP to Sween and to Slam.
Yeah, no, I just so I feel like I kind of came in a little bit later in the game, like it was already established. But it was great because it was like open arms, welcome, and I actually feel like I kind of got boosted up to the top of the ranks or whatever.
Was there like some kind of fight club or something where you guys had to fucking duke it out, or no? It was more love and hugs and bros and beers, and
I think everything kind of worked.
I was joking there. I just thought that was something that like some type of initiation, or how did you become high up into the ranks?
Well, I was gonna say like it's like anything. It happens organically. You know what I mean? People find their lanes and they play their roles, and you just watch it play out. People will play their own position.
I'm going to back up even further, because I said around the early 2000s, but 97, 98, 99, if I'm not correct, PJ, there was something going on at the Eldorado in Troy with Super 400 and Steve Candlin and a couple DJs. I want to say it was Dez and a few other people were involved, maybe Sween too, DJ Turnstile, and they were doing that. So there was like a movement that kind of I started seeing happening with the rock bands and but that was my first introduction to the beginnings of what would become pitch control music. You want to elaborate on that, PJ?
Well, I think there's really two little errors that I saw, at least, and I was a part of. One, watching Master Plan just take over the whole area and always be on a bill with Madball or hardcore bands, and that in itself, One King Down. I remember all these shows, and then the following week they're doing a show with Beatnuts and Onyx. Like it was a crazy time. It felt very good and fresh, and everybody wanted to be a part of that. But what also that rolled into was a lot of open mics where we were refusing DJing, and then we'd be at the tavern or maybe another venue, and people just coming off the head and freestyling while I was bringing the Fender Rhodes out, and Canlin was on drums, and we'd all just make up music. I mean, man, that was so much fun. There was, there's a good hour of that chunk of evening that was awful. Like, we couldn't get our shit together, and everybody was pissed drunk and telling dick jokes while rhyming, but there were some magical moments. I know when Shyste was out over here, maybe 2 times before Sween passed away, or right after, we were watching some old DVD of everything that was going down, and we were all having fun. You could just see the energy. It was great.
Yeah.
There's a lot, and I know what you mean too, because especially the part about, we were just telling dick jokes and fucking up and couldn't get our shit to work, or this amp wouldn't work, but there was some kind of magic in there. And then once I guess it comes along with growing up and maturing a little bit too, musically and personally. And once that happens, you kind of focus in on one thing, and that's the music. Just, it's got to be this good all the time. The bar has to be set higher. So Pitch Control music's rolling. There was like there was a Metroland article. I know there was some Troy Records stuff that was done. A lot of press happening. You guys were just moving around, doing your thing, playing where you wanted, having shows. For now, though, it seems to have slowed down a lot. It doesn't seem like this large group of musicians and artists and DJs and I guess rhymers and hip hop guys. There doesn't seem to be a big scene for it live anymore. Am I missing it out? I know that Shyste, you just recently, a few months back, did a show at No Fun with Sime Jesus, but that was like, I'm going, when's he going to play next? So what's up for the live hip hop scene and trying to recapture some of those? Has there been any talks of maybe, hey, let's all get together and do a big show down at Empire Live, or let's go. Oh, and happy birthday to Mike Valenti, by the way, today. Shout out to Empire Live and Empire Underground.
Happy birthday,
Mike. Happy birthday, Mike.
Well, it's good it's good that you bring him up, because
he's a big part of it. Yeah.
He was detrimental, and especially the Bogies days, he was detrimental to all that. Or not detrimental, sorry. Like, he was the guy that was like, he was
detrimental. No, he was instrumental, I guess is the word we're looking for. But I was agreeing with you. Go, yeah, he was detrimental, man. But no, you're right. He never forgot. He always brought them together.
And so like a lot of the after the Lark Tavern, we needed another place to go, and then he opened it up, and in the few years we did shit there, we had some of the most amazing hip hop shows this area has ever seen.
Yes.
We had, Mobb Deep, Rugged Man, Smith and Wesson,
members of the Wu-Tang Clan.
Yeah, all kinds.
Yeah. I remember of quite a few MC battles that were going on down there too.
Yeah.
And that's something I don't see that goes on anymore, because, for rock music, we have open mics and rarely do any hip hop guys show up. Right. But the MC battles seem to be, okay, this is for us. This is an event for us. And that's something like, I'm like, maybe we should bring back just a solid hip hop show like it used to be, started at 9, 10 o'clock at night, no doors open at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, something late night for and to keep it going to 1, to keep the party going till the morning. So yeah, we should definitely all talk about that more. So Bogies, Shyste, I want you to get a little bit more into that as far as the Bogies live scene with Mike Valenti and some of the things you've done down there. Yeah, I guess you can.
Well, in the time that I did it, at some point, Mike just reached out to me, and he asked if I wanted to try to do something kind of similar to what we did at Lark Tavern, but maybe not the whole live band or anything like that. Just have a regular hip hop night. So long story short, yeah, we did that, and I can't even remember no more. It was a good 2 years, maybe 3 year stretch where we had the weekly going. Every week, we're bringing local. The main thing was to bring local acts in so they could get their feet wet. We'd throw shows with like headliners, but the point of doing that was to get more of a following in there, so you could get the local people to get some shine. You know what I mean? And it just wasn't anybody really doing that at the time. And I guess in a nutshell, we threw a lot of really fucking dope shows, and the weekly went on forever. Like I was killing myself. Like
Yep.
I was going home from Thursday night at like 6 a.m. and getting up at 7 and going to
Barely
fucking
getting
work.
up.
Yeah, and
Right.
going to work. Like, but I think in the whole big scheme of things, it was worth it. A lot of people got a lot of fucking shine from it. A lot of people linked up, kind of like
That's another thing.
unified a lot of different artists.
Yeah, the bands that you were linked. I mean, I guess the band I remember most that was pretty big at the time was Gym Class Heroes, and you guys were like all connected with bands that were doing really well, and they were helping out, just kind of like over on this side, Hatebreed's helping out hardcore bands. So let's talk a little bit more about the bridges that were built. And PJ, maybe we can get your take on as far as the live scene first, before Shyste gets in.
Yeah. So, are you looking? You mean a discussion on just live in general, where we're at, continuing?
Well, Shyste was talking about the live memories, and I think maybe you should, because are you more of a studio musician, or are you out there doing gigs right now?
Both.
And forgive me if I haven't seen a flyer on Facebook pass by me or Instagram.
Yeah, no, I mean, I still play whenever I'm called to play, which isn't a lot, and I'm grateful for that because I like being home. I like being in the studio and not worrying about driving in a car and just doing my thing. But at the same time, I've been itching to get out and do something different, and a fusion of styles, always having that headbang sort of rhythm that you can't deny, and make it small with 3 people and having MCs come up, sort of like what we were doing at Lark Tavern. And really what Steve is doing up in Saratoga, with Super 400 and a couple cats up there, but just maybe more in a hip hop, lo-fi, call it whatever you want to.
Do you
Jazz,
think maybe we'll be able to see? Do you think someday you'll be invited to go up there and jam with the family tree on Monday nights at Putnam Place? Because that's something cool I'd like to see happen again. And that's where it all started. Steve was playing drums. Super 400 was, the guitarist, and Lori and Kenny were playing with the group of musicians that are the group of hip hop guys, with just drawing a blank, El Dorado Days. So something similar to that is where it kind of was like, that's where I was really introduced to local hip hop. So it was like the mid to late 90s, and of course the QE2, like you mentioned, with Master Plan.
Respect.
Respect. Definitely where it
started. I
started.
like hip hop when it's live with live instruments. There's room to breathe. It's not so contrived and cut and like, oh, here comes my chorus. And then you got these cats out here today just rhyming over vocals, and they're doing a little dance or whatever. And it's cute. But there's something to be said about where we are in the fusion world, where you're blending styles together, right? All this stuff. I mean, you look at country, it's pop rock. But hip hop has become more, the good stuff is a fusion of styles, whether it's punk.
Thank you for not going country, both of you. Thank you. Kudos to both of you for not.
I just played my first country gig at the fair. It wasn't bad at all, but I left.
I meant the hip hop country fusion thing. I don't really get it. Yeah, it's the same thing. I guess it's just a different kind of hook, without disrespecting that style of hip hop.
I'd like to see us get back to a jazz club type vibe where it's poetic, it's meaningful, somebody's listening to you. It's not a DJ, it's not loud. Maybe it's just my age, but I think there's a lot of room for an MC to just fly over a bed of music, and it doesn't have to be always in your face. and it becomes more interesting. I mean, your ears become locked to what they're saying. So if anything, I'd like to get back to that point.
I would love to see Shyste
Yeah.
with a band behind him. And he's like, no, you're not the band guy. You don't think that can happen? No?
Maybe his microphone cut off.
Did your microphone cut out?
Yeah.
Okay.
He lost it again.
Okay. We'll get back to Shyste. We'll have him sign out and sign in. He'll be back in just a second. Let's continue on that conversation. So as far as live music goes, you just said that you stepped out and you just played a country gig. So what did you do? Did you go out and play drums? Did you play keys? What were you doing? Just filling in, or?
My main instrument is bass, and I was called with an artist coming up from Nashville. I know him, sort of, and he just asked me to play. So it was great. So I was learning country songs for about 3 weeks, and it was a cakewalk. But I had to wear tight jeans and a flannel. It was pretty easy.
So there was a costume, or should I say a wardrobe that came.
Well, I mean, yeah, no, I mean there was, I wasn't wearing a ball cap in like a Wu-Tang shirt. That's all.
You wish you could be. Shyste, back with us. Yeah. Shyste back with us. Can you hear us? No, you can't hear us. Okay, he can't hear us. You're gonna do the same thing. You're gonna sign out and sign in again. And we're almost going to be wrapping things up here in just a few minutes. Okay, so we were talking earlier about your social networking as far as Shyste _ Cronkite, like chronic and kite, Kyte, Shyste, SHYST. Did I spell that right? E. But I wanted your social networking as far as Instagram and your Twitter for PJ Katz Music, correct?
Yep. PJ Katz Music on Twitter. pjkatz.pts is Instagram. Nothing still. We're
going to say goodnight. I want to thank you both for coming in tonight. And this is about what we do. And we will keep you updated and check the comments later on. And PJ, thanks for coming in. I believe you were invited all along, and we were supposed to have Exquisite with us today. So stay in touch with me. Send us your music.
I will.
And thanks for being here, brother. It was great chatting with you guys tonight. And local hip hop legends, Shyste and PJ Katz. Fuzz, are you with me? Fuzz has been hanging out, producing the show tonight. So I want to give it up for Fuzz for hanging out with us today. Fuzz, where are you, man? You here with me? He must be pooping. I don't know. Capital Underground Face to Face is sponsored by Paulie's Hotel. And this is in Albany. This is the oldest tavern. And what a great new sound system. Go book your band down there. It's easy. It's very easy. Just stop by for a show and book your band. Sly Fox up at Putnam Place in Saratoga, also a sponsor of Capital Underground Face to Face and Capital Underground radio.com. Unihog, which I have claimed it to be Music Falls. How you like that, Fuzz?
I like that a lot.
It's Hoosick Falls, New York. I'm just going to switch something up here real quick. Okay. So Paulie's Hotel, Putnam Place, and Unihog. Fuzz, thanks for producing. And I was hanging out with you and Mariah the other night, and I was kind of producing Fuzz's show. Fuzz is looking pretty fucking Slayer right now. You got some red lights going in the front there?
No, man, that's just my natural skin tone. I'm red.
Fuzz, what do you got coming up for Thursday night show for that Fuzzing Rock show?
Oh man, dude, it's been crazy over here. I have Dimitri Wild live this Thursday. Rich Sorensen's gonna be following Thursday. Black Belt Jones is gonna round out the month. And in between there, I might have to start throwing some interviews on separate nights because it's just I have so many they're just lined up ready to go. I don't have time to put them on. So
well, that's good. Busy schedule. And I'll see you guys when I see you. Fuzz, thanks for helping me out tonight. Thanks to PJ Katz. Thanks to Shyste. Please look them both up. Shyste, new music coming out with him and Exquisite. We will get Exquisite back in. And hip-hop acts, if you're out there watching, come on over. Fuzz and I are not afraid of hip hop. We love it, in fact. And RIP to Sween, RIP to Slam and Shan. And why we brought up Slam and Shan is because Fuzz and I got our start at WVCR, and Shan was our key to hip hop, right? Our education, our educator.
Listen, I started doing Fridays at 9 p.m.
Right.
And I followed, I think it was might have been Miss Shelley Adams, maybe. I can't remember back that far, but I remember when they were doing the hip hop cruise would be 6 to 9. So I would follow them. You know, Miss they were trying to teach me how to scratch. And that was probably the funniest thing.
How'd that go?
It was DJ Cruz. It went absolutely horrible, dude. It was terrible. And they were laughing at me. I was laughing at myself also. But listen, man, it's
memories, man. That's why we're
form.
Still here, is because we were doing those things back in 1988, 89, 90. And here we are all these years later. And we're still chugging along. So local hip hop guys, Fuzz and I, That Fuzzing Rock Show, Capital Underground Face to Face, Capital Underground Radio. We're interested, man. So just come on and say hello. Don't be afraid.
Tina likes hip hop. He likes hip hop a lot.
Fighting type of dementia. Act like I never met ya. Deja, but can't forget the sex, so I resurrect ya. Yo, let's get married, ho. This shit's a merry-go-round. Walking down the aisle, the soundboy burial. That's the scenario. I mean, no fucking remix. I got these wicked chicks gobbling my double helix. Most cats that rhyme act blind, ain't trying to see this. I'm a lyrical elitist. My diseases is egregious. DNA up on the beats where the fucking beast is. Cronkite up on the mic that there's a fucking unit. Smash on them, take the cash and we 40 off dash on them. Second Amendment gun talk down the blast on them. Sit back and watch the whole skyline crash on them. To make me smash on them. My name is Mr. Williams and I live in this wall. Berkowitz shit, Sam I am wit, make your skin crawl. The slang clang when it bang like a pinball machine. Dream states create physical windfall. So get that tinfoil and wrap it around your head. On the low like you know you getting tracked by the Fed. I'm that man in the black mask. If you flashing that bread, flag hanging a half mash. Yo, that's the scraps for the dead. I show improve, invoke a groove with the dope moves. Wordplay, Sudoku, you a dumb fuck, got no clue. As to who is running shit, it's not those dudes, it's us.